will do with this file is this. For each of the loops, I will break it down. I'll explain some things in detail. So basically, loops are has to do with repetition of a command or a process until a condition is met. So just liken loop to you make a call and you are hearing the same sound repeated number of times or a certain number of times before either someone picks the call or nobody or no one picks the call. So that's exactly how loops work. And loop is beyond generating number from 1 to 10 or you trying to um, do some other little thing like working with numbers. Loop is beyond that. So there are a lot of things you can do with loops. So in the course of this, I will try as far as possible to spend less than probably 40-45 minutes, then probably then try this session again. Um, all right, so let me see if I can wait for some. I want to push this message to as many people. I'm coming. Okay, so let me zoom this. Just 1 minute. By 8:05, I think I will have to start. All right, so I think I have to do that. Let me continue. Sorry, so I can take note of my time. Okay, so when it comes to loops, there are basic things you must take note of. One is that you will definitely declare a variable. Two is you will define your number of repetitions. Three is you will define the outcome. And the last thing has to do with the way you want your result to display at the end of the day. So we have different types of loops. Let me see types of loops. Okay, so we have different types of loops. We have the likes of for loops. We have the while loop. We have the do while loops. We have do while loops. We have the for each. We have the for we have for in. We have the for off. And as time goes by, you also see that you can also do other things around the loops, which is um you can do something called nested loop. You have a loop inside another loop, so it's possible for you to do something of that nature. So what I will do is I will just take each of them, then we look at their use cases and we'll move forward. So like I've said, loops are being used to execute block of codes. This block of codes has to be repeated. You have to have it repeatedly before you now have a condition, maybe based on the condition that has been met. So create a new file and call it for loops dot html. So I will use my HTML, then I will do other things there. So when you do this, you just hit the enter key. And when you do that on your keyboard, you can type HTML5, you can type, or you can hold down Shift and 1 to show you this. Then you hit the enter key. So whichever one you do, you're on the right path. All right, so I have done this, and within the body section, within the body section, I will have to provide something called scripts. So I want to write my JavaScript within this tag. That's what I want to do. So I want to write my JavaScript within this tag. Let me stop that. All right, so I want to start with the for loop. And I think for loop is the most common loop that we have. There are basic things you need to take note of in for loop. So I'll provide a syntax. In a for loop, there is a condition in a for loop. In a for loop, you will, sorry, before condition, you will initialize, you provide condition, and you also provide your iteration. So these are the three important things you must follow in your for loop. Three important things. When you follow this, then you cannot define what type of results you want to see. Okay, so now if you watch on blog sites, you see that they will post a news. When they post another news, they follow the same pattern but different content. They've created a loop whereby for as many content they provide, they've provided a content whereby for as many one they post, those will be arranged based on the number of. So now, how do you go about providing a for loop? So you say for in brackets, then you provide or initialize. So in the course of your initialization, you will have to define a variable. So you could either say variable I or X or J, any variable name. So I could say variable I if it is equal to 0, which means my starting point. So now I cannot define number the conditions I want based on number of iterations I want. If the number of iteration I want is 10, then I will have to define that, oh, if it's going to be 10, that is going to start from 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. 9. So which means I could say the value of I, which is 0, less than 10. So less than 10 means that it is can start from 0. So 0, is it less than 10? Yes. 1, is it less than 10? Yes. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 9 is also less than 10. So the number of iterations I'll be having there is going to be 10. So I will also provide a semicolon, which is very important, where the last thing is the iteration. The iteration can either be an increment or decrement. So now, why we need to use an iteration of plus plus, because we want to increase it by 1. So which that what that means is that the value of 0, the value of I, which is 0, 0, is it less than 10? Yes. So what happens? I want to see the value of excuse me. I want to see on my console environment. I could not choose not to use the console. On my console environment, um, I want to see the value of I. Now, take note, must it be the value of I? No, it has to do with what you want people to see. If what you want people to see is it's raining, meaning that it's raining will repeat itself 10 times. That's what it means. So it has nothing to do with it has to do with 0 or 1. So it has to do with what you want. For example, now you are giving people number of trials. Now you could just say, oh, your number of trial is 1. Then you have people to know or take note of what is going on. Now at this point, what this simply means is that the value of I is 0. 0, is it less than 10? Yes. If it is less than 10, what do you want? The first information I will display is going to be it's raining. Then the iteration continues. Why? Because of the value of I. The value of I must no the condition here must be complete or must be met or must be false at this point for this to stop. So when you do this, you can go and run your live server and then see your result on your console. Okay, so I will have to click on live server. So I'll be quick about this. So you see that a training will appear multiple times. So on my browser, I can right click on this and click on inspect, or you can use a shortcut. So where I have my console, I will click on it. Then you can see that word it's raining, appear like 10 times. 10 times. That's what it means. And if you do, you can do more around this by going back to your Visual Studio, and then you do more things. Excuse me, please. So which means I could come here and concatenate and put the value of I. That's all. So when I go back to my browser, I will have to see the word it training. You are seeing it. It's starting from zero. It will start from zero down to nine, which is the number of iteration is 10. That's what it means. Okay, so now, please, I am not concerned about numbers zero down to this. I'm not concerned about that, but just for you to take note of what it looks like to create this. Okay, so now let's look at a logical thing here. What if what you want to do, you have some information in probably an array, you have bulk of information in an array, and you want to see how you can loop them. So your for loop can also achieve those things. And you can also use your for loop to be able to ask questions. Ask questions. How old are you? Or you want people to be able to provide login details. Number of times how many number of times do you want them to do that? So you can use your loop to achieve that. So quickly, let's look at something here. So I decided to say I don't want to do this, but I want to provide names of people. So I could say let students equal to, I could use any approach, new array. So there are two ways of me doing this. I could do this, providing my information in this way as an array, or I can use this approach to create my array. So please, whichever one you see. But basically, when you work with Python, what you always see is the usual approach where you use your block brackets to achieve what you want. So I have this John. I have this Kemi. I have this Tolu. So lastly, I have this Ambrose. So basically, I choose to have this. So which means that I want to loop based on names. You stop that. I want to loop based on names. Now I have to ask myself some few questions, which is, if I'm to count number of names I have one, two, three, four, which is the truth. But this is taking an index position of zero. This one is taking an index position of one. Then these two, these three. But my mindset is I want to display all the names using the help of my for loop. Now, since I have come here and I've declared that my starting value for my loop is starting from zero, cool. Now, how many names do I have here? The truth is that if I come here and I say four, I'm on the right path, yes, which means I am defining based on what I'm seeing, based on what I'm seeing. But I will have to change this again. Then I could come here and say, so what did I want? How do I display my results? So probably I want to display my result by calling the student based on index position. The student based on index position, which is I could call say students. I don't know why this is disturbing me. So with this now, what this means is stop. So what this means means is um the value of I is zero. Is zero less than four? Yes. So student index value of zero will return John. Then the loop goes back. Student, the value of I increases from zero to one. Is one less than four? Yes. So from there, automatically, it simply means it will display Kenny. Then the value of I will increase to three. Is three less than four? Yes. Student, the index value of three. Then that's how this will go to the end. And you could also do more around this. You can do more, like you can even define, I want to display the first two names. You can define, oh, I want to display John and Tolu, or based on odd numbers or even numbers. You can set those things. So when you go to your browser, basically you will see something like this where you have each of their names basically. So now I am not of an opinion that instead of me writing four, which I'm not comfortable with, I am not. I prefer using a a method that will define the total length of information I have in a student, which means that I could say student dot length. So student dot length means the total length. Total length. Now I have to be careful with one thing. Total length of what I have there is four. Total length four, which is one, two, three, four. And I could, work around this. Look at something here. If you put this, what does that mean? You are trying to say the value of I, if the value of I, for example, now is four, four can be equal to the total length. Excuse me. Four can be the total length of what you have here. So I am not, if you do something of this form, or if you come across this, what you need to do is to find a way to subtract the length by one. Basically, I will just leave this way. So what this will do is we are trying to say that the student dot length is four. So zero, is it less than the total length? Yes, because total length is four. So no, I can't pick on now. Okay, so now if you go back to your browser, definitely you will see the same result, the same result. But now I want to show you one for, if I want to display only Tolu, sorry, I want to display John and Tolu, for example, then I will have to do some, I have to provide some conditions, which is I could come here and say, uh, if the value of, stop this. So I will come here and say, when the value of should I do this? Excuse me, curly brace this way. Let me do this way. Take this off, add it here. So let's do this together. Please, I don't need this. Please. Odd numbers. When it comes to um, um, odd numbers are number, I say two. Please, I'm coming. I want to do something else. Students dot let. So I want to do something. Student dot let modulus two if it's equal to zero. So now let's get the message of this. Um, I also want to be careful with this. Okay, so before I go into that, so let me try something here. This means 4 modulus 2. 4 modulus 2 will give you 0, which means how many 2 will you see in 4? That's what it means. So that should be able to return 0. So what that will do, this is not what I want, but I will have to change some few things because I needed to do one logical thing on this. The total was this student length. No, length. Okay. I'm coming, please. The value of I modulus. Please, I'm coming before I start doing something. All right. Okay, so what I mean by this is this. The value of I is 0. Please, I'm ready. I did what I have here. The value of I here is 0. 0, 0 modulus 2 will give you what? 0 modulus 2 will give you 0. So, because based on the rule of modulus, the rule of modulus is that, look at this. The rule of modulus is saying that when the first value is smaller than the second value, then the modulus is the first value. What I mean is, if you are saying 1 modulus 2, 1 modulus 2 will return 1. Will return 1. Now, if or maybe this might be a bit clearer. Maybe this might be a bit clearer. So if I say 5 modulus 2, 5 modulus 2 will give you 1. Okay, so but if you say 2 modulus 5, this will give you 2. The rule of modulus is that the first value, when it is smaller than the second value in modulus, then the answer will be the first value. But if it is of this way, then the value changes. So I'm trying to achieve something with this. Then we will find a way to fix this in my own way. So what this will do for me is that 0 modulus 2 will give you 0. Is it equal to 0? Yes. What do you want? I want to display the first index value. The first index value. Now, when the value of I increases to 1, 1 modulus 2 will give you 1. Is 1 equal to 0? No. So it will display the next name, which is Kemi. It will not display Kemi. Now, when the value of I increases to 2, 2 modulus 2 will give you 0. Is 0 equal to this 0? Yes. What will it do? It will print out the index position of 2, which is Tolu. So what we expect to have as a result here is going to be John and Tolu. John and Tolu. So when you check on your browser here, you should be able to have that one, John and Tolu. So what I'm trying to let you know here is for you to know that it's just beyond you trying to generate number from 1 or 0 to 10, but you could maneuver a lot of things around this. So what I did there was to focus on the even number. So if I want to turn around this in a different way, if I want to display Kemi and Ambrose, all I need to do is to change this value of 0 to 1. And I will have this. So it's just all about saying 0 modulus 2, because the initial value of I is 0. 0 modulus 2 will give you 0. Is 0 equals to 1? No. So it will not display anything. Then the value of I increases from 0 to 1. 1 modulus 2 will give you 1. Is 1 equal to this 1? Yes. Then it's going to print student with the value of 1, which is going to return that of Kemi. So you could manipulate this for as many or different ways you want to do this. So you can even approach this based on multiples of a particular number. You could do all of those things. So all of this is centered on the the for loop, all of the setup of for loop. Basically, excuse me, let me stop this thing. This. All right. So basically, what you should take note of around this is how you logically think of what you want to do. And as it is, you can even put your HTMLs or your tags inside this. I'm having my result displaying here, Kemi, Ambrose. I can do more around this. Basically, just all you need to do is to create a single div, a single div, and style it, and it will give you, separate them based on what you want. So you could do a lot of things on this. So basically, our result is meant to display on the object browser, or on the browser object, or on the web page, instead of the console environment, basically. So that is that. So you can actually use this for your, create tables and rows. You can create tables and row with this. You can create a lot of things around this, basically. So um, maybe if you have a question, you can drop. Let me, if it's just only the for loop, I will handle today. Fine. Maybe I'll just pick them one after the other. If you have any question, you can just drop a chat, please. But if there's none, you can, give me a thumbs up. Then I will just tell you what we should do next. The most. All right, all right. So, all right. Thank you, thank you. Okay, so, okay, so I will create a new file, but later on, so that by the time I'm done with the whole of the session, I will go back to, the form. So let's create a separate file. I'll call it while loop dot html. Still the same approach, shift and one, still the same approach. Same thing, script. You stop this. Stop. Okay, so when it comes to for loop, you have a fixed number of iteration. Fixed. That is why you see me put 5 or 10 or 4. When it comes to while loop, there is an unknown, condition based on the loop. In fact, when it comes to while loop, like, you don't even have a fixed number of iteration. All you know of is that if you meet a particular condition, then it stops. So while loop to liking your while loop to, you are playing a game and it has no end. You keep playing, you keep playing, you keep playing. It doesn't tell you, even if you fail a stage, it gives you more room for you to keep playing and keep playing. That's exactly what it does. Why, if it's a for loop, they will tell you, that give you number of times for you to give this as a trial. Then if it doesn't work, then you have to wait for a few minutes or an hour, come back again. But your while loop is like, you keep working till you get tired, except there is a condition that stops you, or no, that there's a condition that says, oh, it's enough, you can't go beyond this. Now, one thing about the while loop is this, is that when you are going to apply it, for me, I prefer setting a logic thing around the while loop. Maybe I prefer doing something like while, then I will set a true or a false value. I prefer doing something of that nature. I prefer that. But basically, you could also set a condition within this. Yeah, you can. But if you come here and you set a true value, oh, cool. You are trying to say that this condition will always run until a condition stops it. That's what you mean by that. So, but if you come here inside the while loop and you decide to say, oh, before the while loop, I decide to come here to say, let the value of a to be equal to 1, for example. Then I decide to say, let the value of a to be less than or equal to 5. Then, cool. Then I think what I'm saying is that this value of stop. I'm trying to say that the value of a, we start from 1. Look at this. What this means that the value of a starts from 1. Is 1 less than or equal to 5? Yes. So what do you want to see? That will be the next thing or the next approach. So if you are interested in seeing, what's it called? Value of a, cool. If you're interested in seeing something else, fine. So but basically one could just say console.log and display the value of a or something. But when you do this, you need to define your iteration. Like the value of a has to be incremented, else else it will move. It will just be showing you 1 forever and ever, forever, and you don't want such. So when you write a simple while loop of this form, you are trying to say, oh, I want the value of a to start from 1. 1, is it less than 5 or equal to 5? Yes. So what did I want to see? So what you want to see depends on you. For me, for the sake of this, if you say 1, cool. But if you want to see different things, cool. No, it has to do with what you want to see. So when you have this, you're good to go and you move on. So now, within this, you can, create a guessing game. Maybe this can work on a guessing game. If you guess rightly, fine. You have number of trial, which is 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So why 5? Because of that equal sign that is there. So that's why you have 5 there. So if you want to create a guessing game or something, cool. All you need to do is to create a prompt. You know, maybe you have an input and you have something like a prompt that will say enter a number, or a prompt that will ask you what do you want. So whatever the prompt says, then you cannot define what you want to do. So enter a number, guess a number, anything. So all of this becomes the new things that I want. But at the end of the day, take note of this. This will take a value and then display the result for you. Why this value here will be incremented, which is this condition will be incrementing. So whatever you want this loop to do, you define it at this point. At this point. So you have to do with what you want. And you can also do what I did before, setting a condition, which is you could set a condition and I say I want to create multiples of 2. I could say if the value of a modulus 2, if it is equal to 0, then I want to see something. Then I want, so you could do something of this form. So this is exactly what I want to see. I want to see a result. So this should be a, basically. I want to see this. So after the condition, then the loop continues again. So that can work. All you need to do is just for you to define how you want this to go. So you can use this on real world things like authentication. You can do this on authentication. That's basically using your while loop though. So I have 2 and 4 because that was the multiples of what I want. I want multiples of 2. So you could say multiples of 3, cool. Your choice, basically. All right, so just as the way we did that of the for loop where we have an array, yes, you can also achieve that same feat here. So, or you could use this for, like I've said before, game loops or games. You can use your while loop for that purpose. So now let's look at something there. If I come here and I change this to true, which means this loop will continue to run until a condition stops it. So what condition do I want? That now depend on what I want to achieve. What is that thing that you want to achieve? The things you want to achieve could be maybe you want to have user inputs. When the condition is met, we need the user inputs, or if it's not met, it should stop. So let me do this. I don't need this. I don't need this. Do I need this? No.